the cab sent me all the way over to the east side of Paris, and I raced to get back up because I thought this was at 2:30 too. So I've been all messed up today.
Yeah. So well, I guess that demonstrates how you master location.
Yeah, master of all things location. Found my way here on the metro, one piece.
Yeah. So tell me, it's I think one of the first times, if not the first, the second time I think you speak in Europe. So you're not that often in Europe.
Yeah. I mean, I gave a talk in Amsterdam about a year ago, but I think since then it's been, this is the first time I've met a lot of folks here.
No, I know, and I really appreciate you made time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
People think you are 200 employees, but you don't, right?
Yeah, this comes up all the time. I was actually walking through the hallways here, and people are saying, "Oh, we've been trying to reach your biz dev people and your press people." And I'm like, everyone thinks we're this huge 200-person company, and like we're just about to break 40 people. And a year ago, what was it? December? A year ago, we were 4 people.
Wow.
So we've been growing very, very quickly, and so happy to talk to all you guys. Just be patient because we're starting to get the pieces together. That's going to make all this stuff work. So it'll be easier for us to work with agencies and brands and merchants. All that stuff's coming.
Who uses Foursquare in the room?
Come on, really? That's awesome. That's like the best thing ever. I swear to God, last time I gave a talk like this, the last time I was in Europe, I gave a talk like this, I was like, does anybody even know what we're doing? And 2 hands would go up, and then I have to go through 40 slides to show them. So it makes my job much easier when people know what we're talking about.
That does feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fantastic.
So you've done a badge for us for the web?
Yeah, we got bullied into it. I thought you were going to punch me in the face if we didn't do it for you. No, we're happy to do it. So we're thinking all these different ways we can do event badges.
Who has unlocked the Foursquare the web badge?
I didn't get mine yet, but did you tell them what you have to do to get it?
No, you need to unlock, I unlocked it myself. You need to check in all the 3 buildings if you don't have it. That's how you do it. To go into the 3 buildings. Tell me about how you got the idea on this.
Yeah, so this is the stuff that's in Foursquare now, and even the stuff that we're really the stuff that we're thinking about, stuff we'll be launching in the next couple of months, all the way to the next 18 months or so. It's all stuff we've been thinking about for 10 years. Oh, sorry. That's why there's a graveyard of empty waters back here, for those that can't see. I had a startup before this called Dodgeball. That was, we did as a thesis project at NYU, and the thesis was, hey, this was before smartphones, before iPhones, before phones had maps and knew where they were. It was like, if you could just, if you had this general idea of where your friends were at any given time in the city, would that change your experience of the city? And specifically for us, would that change your experience of New York? And so, we started off on this path as building things that were supposed to make New York easier to use. And that's what Dodgeball came into. Did anyone ever use Dodgeball or hear about Dodgeball? A couple people? Yeah, it's 2005, right? So we brought it to Google and we tried to work on some of the stuff there and, ultimately ended up moving on. And then, once Dodgeball got turned off, I was sharing office space with another company where I met my co-founder, Naveen. And we said we should resurrect some of these ideas. The phones are better, people understand how Twitter and Facebook work, and it's just the timing is much better. So, we resurrected some of the dots on a map idea, but then Naveen was really passionate about this idea of to-do lists and crowdsourced city guides, and I was getting really excited about this idea of turning life into a game and using game mechanics for everyday life. And we just crammed everything together into this one mess of an app, and we brought it down to South by Southwest, thinking that people were going to laugh at us, oh, this is a crazy idea, no one's going to like this. And then here we are, less than 2 years later, and we're over 5 million people, everyone in the room has heard of it, and it's just it's great for us, it's a lot of fun.
5 million users?
Yeah, we broke 5 million users last week. Yeah, thanks.
And how does it split worldwide? Do you have any stats around how much US, how much Europe?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the stats in a while, but the last time we looked, which is, it's a couple months ago, we just hired an engineer that only does stats, which is he's everyone's favorite employee now. But the last time we looked, it was about 60% US and 40% international. One of the big myths of Foursquare, it's only New York and San Francisco. Actually, if you look at New York and San Francisco, they're blips on the map, but the activity is worldwide. And we have all these weird user communities, in Tokyo, in Indonesia, in Buenos Aires, in Kuala Lumpur. We have this map in the office which just shows who people are checking in real time, and it's everywhere. It's amazing to watch.
How does the growth many people say you have the growth that Twitter had at the same stage. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to compare, our growth numbers to everyone else because, the numbers, it's kind of apples and oranges, right? Because, I think our stuff spreads a little bit differently because of things like Twitter and Facebook. A lot of people hear about Foursquare through different social media platforms. But yeah, the numbers are really impressive. Like we're picking up maybe 25,000 users a day now, which is crazy, And we're seeing almost like 2 million check-ins a day, and it's just like the activity that we're getting from users is great.
So for the entrepreneurs in the room, has it just hit you that type of growth, or do you have any secret sauce you can share with us?
Well, I mean, this is.
Start at the beginning. You have a service that is not popular right at the beginning.
So
how did it take to kind of?
Was anyone at South by Southwest in 2009 when we launched? Yeah, it worked. I was looking at the screenshots from the other day. I'm like, this app is ugly. And we had a nice peak, and the peak that I'm talking about is 4,000 users. Oh, look at that, 4,000 users. That's awesome. And then what happened is it just, the usage trailed off. The product it was kind of half-baked. We raced to get it for South by Southwest. It only worked on the iPhone, and it barely worked. And we went through that whole summer of 2009, just trying to raise funds and trying to make it our full-time job and talking to angels and VCs, and no one was really that psyched about what we were doing until we started seeing local merchants get involved, which was around August or September in 2009. And we saw these local merchants just hanging up flyers in San Francisco saying, "Show us that you checked in on Foursquare, and we'll give you a discount." And that's something that we didn't think of. The merchants invented that, but
the merchants invented that?
Yeah, they were making their own flyers and hanging them up. And actually, someone sent us someone that owned a Marsh Cafe in San Francisco sent us a note "Hey, I hope you don't mind, but we used your logo on this flyer and we hung them up on all the telephone poles." I'm like, "That's great, thanks a lot." And we started hearing that people were actually doing that. People would see the flyer and show it. They would get their free ticket to go see a band player, or they would get their $1 off their coffee. And then other merchants started doing it. And so we was like, man, we should start making tools specifically for merchants. And this wasn't the plan. The plan was just to make something that our friends wanted to use. And then we started seeing the merchants get involved. It's well, this is a real business here. And then the investors started catching on, and that's when we had that crazy process of the Series A. And then,
how much did you raise Series A?
For the Series A, we raised just over $1 million, and that enabled us to hire. We hired down to about 8 people. And it took us to about March or so, but we really started looking at a Series B. And then for our Series B, we raised $20 million from Andreessen Horowitz, so that was at the end of June.
And you've raised those $20 million by refusing an acquisition offer from Facebook, right?
Well, yeah, we talked to people about what is the best thing for the company. And we were thinking, should we keep the company independent? Should we go partner with someone else? And at that time we were 15 people or so, and we're just trying to figure out what the destiny of the product is and what the destiny of the company is. I think the most frustrating thing for me was to have all these ideas for a long time with Dodgeball not being able to execute on them. And we were just really this is our best shot to get this stuff done and get it out there and get the things that are in our heads in the hands of everyone in this room.
How old are you, Dave?
I'm 34.
34, and you got an offer for 140 million, right?
There were people were throwing out stuff like that in that ballpark.
In that ballpark.
Well, we talked to a bunch of folks. I guess we're not gonna
so Facebook, who else?
No, it's all in the past.
Microsoft.
No, we talked to a couple folks. There's a couple
of
it was funny because there was acquisition offers and there were Series B evaluations, and they were all over the place, and it was just a crazy time. If anyone followed the Series B fundraising on TechCrunch and Mashable, it was just it was crazy. It went on for 4 months. It was in the Wall Street Journal, and it was incredibly distracting for the company. And we've learned a big lesson there. So the lesson is just keep your head down and continue doing the things that we need to do. And it's if the thing that we're most passionate about is building product.
But you've not had an exit yet yourself, right? Have you?
Well, yeah, we sold Dodgeball to Google.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you refused 50 million or 100 million for yourself?
Well, we decided another way.
How tough is that? You have, I don't know, let's say 100 just to put a number, or 50, just for yourself, $50 million.
Yeah.
And you're no.
What are you gonna do? You're just gonna,
I don't know. Some people find ways to use that.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, the reason I don't, if you did a poll at Foursquare and you said how many people are in this room to get really rich, like, I don't know how many hands would go up. Like, we're doing this stuff because, you know, what gets me fired up is when I'm here and people are like, anyone use Foursquare? I'm like, maybe like 10 hands will go up, maybe some of them, and like, from here, it looks like a majority of hands go up. And, you know, we're building things that people want to use and people are excited about.
I don't want to upset you then.
So no, I'm not upset. I'm just like, that's the stuff that gets me excited, you know?
So where do you take it then? We'll take a few questions. I have a mic here. Is there anyone with questions? Good. Could you like line up here and I'll do one more. And just tell me about the future, then we'll take Jeremiah and this gentleman here. Either someone shows up or I have a mic, I'll give it to you myself.
Yeah, just the future over
Yeah, like the work, so you're not selling, you raise tons of money. I mean, for 40 people, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, well that gets us going for like another year or so. So like it gets us further down that road now. You know, we've been thinking about this stuff for so long. It's like some of the thoughts like are from like I used to work at this startup called Vindigo back in the day, and I was thinking about this stuff then. And then with the early versions of Dodgeball, then through grad school, then through Dodgeball again. You know, we've got a room back at the office. It's like 30 people that have been thinking about this stuff for forever. And so we can just keep building. We know what the roadmap looks like. It's just a matter of getting enough people in the room to execute on everything.
Okay, well, let's take questions. Jeremiah.
Hey, Jen. That's Jen. Hey, Dennis, how you doing?
Hi.
You know, the Starbucks integration was really interesting. Can you comment about that and how companies can work with Foursquare other than just local merchants?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, the first stuff that came around was all the local merchants, like the mom and pop coffee shops. And then, of course, we started hearing from big chains, which broke everything that we had built because it was all like Foursquare and then one venue. And then Starbucks was like, oh yeah, well, we have 14,000 locations. And so we have to build all these additional tools into it. And so then once we did the stuff with Starbucks, we've done it with The Gap, we've done it with Sports Authority, we've done stuff with Radio Shack and Toys R Us. And so now we've got all these robust tools for, just for, mom and pops with like 1 or 3 venues and like big retail chains. But, a lot of the stuff that we're starting to experiment with, it's like, what is the next version of a loyalty card look like? If you ever go to like a sandwich shop and they stamp it 10 times, we're building smarter versions of those, where it's not just, I was here 10 times, but I brought 10 friends here. Or, I tried 10 different things on the menu, or, I've been here once a week for the last 10 weeks or something. And merchants can set up anything that they want as a way to, really reward their best customers.